the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
It's actually being good. No, it's a fine spot for Chase Young to find another way to kind of rejuvenate his career.
JP, your biggest free agent winner, and this is not just player, this is team. Who do you think, as of right now, March 18th, when we're recording this, who is your biggest free agent winner?
Biggest free agent winner. That's a really good question. I think I am going to go with the Houston Texans. I think
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
They went into free agency knowing that they needed to get better on defense, and they went out and signed Danielle Hunter, which, I mean, again, Danielle Hunter for 2 years, $49 million, $48 guaranteed. When you compare it to John Gennard getting $72 million over 4 years, I feel like I would pay Danielle Hunter that money every single day of the week. They replaced Blake Cashman with Azeez Al-Shaair, who has experience in D'Amico Ryan's defense. He can be kind of the Madden user, D'Amico Ryan's player in that defense. You add Danico Autry, again, another ass kicker on that defense. They just need one more piece as a defensive tackle. They need a true 3 technique, and they're going to really start to get cooking. But I really love the moves that they have made, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, the Joe Mixon thing is fine. And it's not a major needle mover for me. If Joe Mixon can be the back that he was in 2021, that's perfect.
What do we think is going to happen there? Because I don't like that. Joe Mixon to me is the perfect like off-season signing where it's like everyone will focus on like prime version of them, but they won't end up being that. But like, what are we going to get?
We are going to get a player who might not be as explosive as he used to be.
Are we going to get like a David Montgomery signing?
I don't think it's David Montgomery because David Montgomery still has some juice. I don't think Joe Mixon has a lot of juice left, but he's an experienced back who can play between the tackles. You compare him with a rookie back that they take, and that'll be a good running back group. This isn't a guy that you're going to bring in to be a bell cow, and they didn't pay him or extend him like a bell cow back. They didn't trade compensation for him to be a bell cow back. This is a guy you pair with another back that you draft, or if you make a late signing.
So, I mean, Jarrett, when you look at little things too that Houston did, which I thought was interesting. So they acquired the 42nd and 188th pick in the 2024 draft, Minnesota, and then Minnesota's 2025 second round pick from the Vikings for the 23rd and 232nd pick in the draft. What do you make of that weird deal they kind of did with Minnesota?
Yeah, I thought that was weird because they didn't really like if you do the value calculator thing. I mean, Minnesota clearly got more value for that. So I don't know if that was them more so saying like, hey, 23 to 42, there's not too much of a drop off in talent from there. We're comfortable with where we are, and we can get more picks later on in next year. That's fine. I would like to see them get another cornerback opposite of Derek Stingley. I would like to see them still get maybe another weapon offensively. You can't have enough juice offensively in today's NFL. So they'll get Tank Dell back, Nico Collins as well. I wouldn't mind seeing them continue to add to that. They where did Noah Brown end up going? Somebody refresh my mind.
Let me check.
That's a great question. I have no idea.
Because I know he went somewhere and it wasn't Houston. So I think getting somebody else to put
he said he's still with Houston.
Did he resign with Houston?
I guess so. Yeah, he's still with Houston right now.
Oh,
yeah, he resigned.
He did resign, yeah.
For some reason in my mind, he went somewhere else. But no, that's all right. Well, that changes things in my head then. I would have liked to see them be a little bit more aggressive for a game-breaking running back. A lot of people were saying, hey, Saquon Barkley to Houston makes a lot of sense. It could be very fun. He ultimately goes to Philadelphia. But they're doing all the right things. You pointed out the Danielle Hunter signing, pairing him with Will Anderson. I think that's great. And with Houston, if the progression keeps going, what's the word I'm looking for? If it's a linear progression, what we saw last year, winning a playoff game, getting to the divisional round, if they can add one or two more pieces, maybe they can get to the AFC Championship game, especially if CJ Stroud keeps progressing the way that we saw last year. So Houston's a fun team, man. I think that they're going to be right back in the thick of things. And an AFC South that could be very fun. You know, with I think Jacksonville is going to be in the mix again, depending on what happens with Indy and Richardson. I mean, they were on the brink of making the playoffs last year with Gardner Minshew. So I think there's going to be a very, very fun division. Yeah, and I didn't expect to say that, you know, a calendar year ago when, you know, we were like, all right, you know, Jacksonville and then everybody else. But no, there's been, you know, Houston and Indy have both, you know, made their points of saying, no, we're in this thing too. So it'll be a fun division.
I don't know. Like, I think Houston's just kind of pulling away. And is there a part of you, Evan, that when you're looking at the Houston roster and with D'Amico Ryans running things, like, are you starting to see a lot of similarities between how San Francisco is built, their juggernaut, that Houston's doing?
No.
You think it's different?
I do think it's very different. I do think it's the difference of having a truly elite quarterback. Like, listen, Brock Purdy played out of his absolute mind last year, but the Texans, to me, just remind me of how a team can play and what a team can do in the offseason when they know that they have an elite quarterback. Like, Joe Mixon doesn't have to be Joe Mixon. Like, Joe Mixon needs to be like late DeMarco Murray for the Cowboys. Like, really, like, he doesn't have to do much because the quarterback's, you know, the real, like, threat. Like, Dameon Pierce is still on the Texans. You know
yeah, I mean, it's
like,
going to be more or less, you know, similar to what they did last year, like a, you know, 1-2 punch with Singletary. It's just going to be Mixon this time around.
I think Dameon Pierce he'll probably exist a lot better when he's not being leaned on so heavily. So I think it's really all going to be about CJ Stroud. The one thing I will say is there is a certain 49ers legend that went well, he's not retiring yet, but he did move to Florida. And I think that could be very interesting.
That team's run by idiots. We don't have to.
I'm excited, man. Eric Armstead would be. I'm excited.
That's the best move. That is no bullshit.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.